We have a question in for Eason asking, I have a few outstanding debts. How do I pick which one to pay down first, and should I pay them all off?
So there's kind of two strategies that a lot of people talk about with debt. And the first one is the snowball method, which is the idea that you pay down your smallest debts and you kind of keep rolling and pay down the next smallest and the next one. And then there's the avalanche method, which is you pay down your highest interest rate. And I prefer avalanche because the snowball, though you're paying down more, you're paying down smaller pieces and you're getting rid of them. So psychologically, it's important. You're you're leaving the high interest to that will like kind of eat away. Those interest fees will eat away at you over time. And so credit cards are always the first thing you pay down if you have excess money. You never want to carry a balance on a credit card. And then whatever the next one is that's the next highest, you'd pay down and you progressively get rid of them as you go. But also, you maybe don't want to pay down all your debt. Say you have a mortgage at 3% and you're not going to retire for 20 years. I think you should put the money into the market where you'll, on average, you'll net 9 to 10% in the market versus the paying that 3% fee, interest fee.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Season. Actually, I think one of the strategies that I really like is, you know, I believe very strongly. I've done 6,000 financial plans and have hundreds of clients I've worked with. I've walked through all these lives, and one of the things that I've seen is that people have very successful retirements. They seem to have no debt in retirement. Even if you could make an argument that they should, because of the fact that, the 3% versus 9 to 10. And so maybe one strategy is, again, if you're in retirement, should be maybe a little bit more aggressively paying that down because, you want to make sure you have that flexibility. But if you're not in retirement, pick an age in retirement where you'd want to pay it off, right? So let's say 65 and I'm say 55. And so I make the payments that are going to make my debt go away by the age of 55. Uh, and so obviously you'd start with those high interest rate things. I totally agree with that. But then when you get down to that low interest rate, like a mortgage, paying it off at the expense of, I'm at 55, for example, or 45 or 25, whatever it is, paying that off at the expense of investing money in the market doesn't make sense to me. But it would be great to have that kind of balance between those where you're paying it off by age 65. And so you figure out, get out, I can figure it out for people to get my 12C calculator out. And I can figure out what payment it would take to kind of pay off that debt by the time they're 65. That way they accomplish what I'm seeing in my most successful retirements, which is a debt-free retirement. So that, kind of bridges the gaps and invest the rest, right?
Yeah, having a debt-free retirement makes you so much more flexible, not having that fixed mortgage payment every year
Yeah.
or every month.
Yeah, exactly. When we have another 2008 and you're living off of the stock and bond market, for part of your income source, and all of a sudden it's down, a lot, and it depends on how much you have in bonds versus stocks as to how much you're going to be down, but you're still withdrawing that same money to pay that mortgage, man, you can really put some damage into that portfolio. Whereas if you don't have the mortgage, maybe you can cut back, for a while. It took 5 years for the market to come back in 2008. So it'd be awful nice to be able to kind of cut back, let your accounts recover. And again, if you have a lot of fixed costs, mortgage being one of those, can be quite a high one. It can really be more difficult. You're tying your hands a little bit in flexibility versus when you're working, you got a job. It's a little bit different. You're living off of this kind of fluctuating asset. uh, that's the strategy I would love to see. Everybody that ever retired be debt free. It doesn't always work that way, but it's a good goal.